Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Burke. I'm Executive Director of Western Liberty Network. Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 organization. So as such, we do not endorse or oppose any political candidate, political party, legislation, or ballot measure. What we do is we train limited government grassroots activists in skills needed to be successful in politics where they live. They are then free to use what they learn for anything that they care about in civic life. I'm going to familiarize you really quickly by sharing the screen of our website so you can see some of the resources that Western Liberty Network has available. And we will go to the homepage. If you go to westernlibertynetwork.org, you will be redirected to this site right here. And there are actually quite a few resources on the Western Liberty Network website. If you are on this call live today, you know that when we have an upcoming Zoom training session, it is always at the top, and you click here to sign on to it. Scroll down a little bit more, and you'll find out about some different things we have. Here's a story about our last annual conference. We hold them every February, and some of the PowerPoint presentations that went with some of our breakout sessions. If any of these topics interest you, you can find them. Scroll down a little further, and here's a really handy document on local nonpartisan office holders regarding how to do their job properly and what their duties are and what their responsibilities are. Go down a little further, and you've got even more stuff. You've got here other conferences, one we held in Klamath Falls where we had other PowerPoint presentations with live sessions that you can check out. And here are some speeches from Senator Dennis Linthicum and Christina Solti, who's a city councilor up in Washington, active with the Slavic communities, and we've got other presentations. This is a real interesting one. Andrei Ilyaronov was formerly Vladimir Putin's chief economic advisor before he defected to the United States. You scroll down and you'll see even more. But if you really want to design your own training program, go to the training tab. And there you'll see several important things. A brief discussion of the kind of trainings that Western Liberty Network provides, a variety of training documents. You'll be provided with a couple of these today during the live session. And for those of you who watch the recording, you'll be able to download them separately off the site. But if you're interested in this topic, for example, petition gathering in Oregon, click on it, and you'll see a training document on that topic. Now, these are designed to be provided with live training sessions, but they stand on their own as well. So you can use these to teach yourself quite a bit, especially if you're new to politics. And if you want to download all of our documents, just click this one link at the bottom here, so you don't have to click all the others one at a time. This will give you one convenient click for all the documents. Scroll down a little farther, and you'll see the videos. Now, these are our Saturday videos, like the one we're doing right now. This one will be recorded and will be posted shortly after it's over. There's about 2.5 years of topics here. I provide a lot of the trainings, but we also have others, state legislators, former state legislators, and other experts in their field that provide these trainings on the topics as you see here. These are very helpful. Between these videos and the documents that you see here, you can actually build a formidable training program for yourself. Western Liberty Network, in addition to our annual conference, the next one will be on February 1st. We also do live trainings. You see pictures of some of those here, where we provide on-site training to organizations that believe they can use what we have to offer. If you really like what you see, you can go to the Support WLN tab, and you can make a tax-deductible contribution that helps keep us in the field and helps keep us providing training sessions like this. I also want to talk about one of our training partners, Parents' Rights in Education. If you go to parentsrightsaneducation.com, you will see this wonderful website. They have their own training program, which is designed through Western Liberty Network, but you can have free membership and free access to all of that. If you go to the parents, you've got the training center, and if you have a free account, you can access that. So these are some of the resources that are available on through Western Liberty Network and Parents' Rights in Education. Gideon, do you have any questions about those offerings thus far?
No, but very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is how to do your own personal earned media campaign. Now, earned media is media that you don't have to pay for. Media campaigns, traditional paid campaign with direct mailings, TV ads, radio ads, blog ads, social media ads. But personal media campaign is designed to help an individual come up with a way to support the campaigns they care about using means that don't cost anything or don't cost very much. And through the chat window right now, I'm going to send a document that you can either follow along with or you can look at later. And that's our training document on that topic. Okay. And I'm also sending a companion document that you can download off the chat window. And that is do's and don'ts with dealing with media. If you do find yourself dealing with newspaper reporters or wanting to get on television, dealing with assignment editors, this document will give you some really good guidelines as to how to deal with them in such a way that they will want to deal with you. So what you're going to find is this is one of our shorter training units. It has, nice little gems of information, but there's not a lot to it. So what we encourage that people do first is get a list of all of the media sources that are available. Make a list where all of the information is together. For example, if you live in Columbia County, as you do, Gideon, if there is a St. Helens newspaper, a St. Helens radio station, Scappoose, the other cities that are Columbia City, find a list of all of the local newspapers that are in your county. And I would also count regional ones like the Oregonian and the Columbian up in Vancouver, Washington, that covers Northwest Oregon and Southwest Washington. Just make a list of all of them, all of the radio stations. And what you're going to do is you're going to, on one column, make a list of what those resources are. Maybe KXL for Lars Larson, First Amendment Friday, all of those things. Then on the next column, you're going to write down their websites. This will take a little bit of research, but go ahead and research that and then put down what the websites are. After that, the name of the person that you need to contact. Okay. You may have to call them to find that out, but you'll find out who the assignment editor is. You'll find out who the reporters that are covering local politics are, find out what their names, email addresses, and phone numbers are. And then you will have not only a really nice worksheet to deal with in your earned media campaign that you might be wanting to do now, but you'll also have the resources ready for next time. So you won't have to reinvent the wheel. Also, if you make it up in a nice spreadsheet or something like that and print it off, if there are people that you work with in politics or that want to become involved with politics, you can give them this information right away. Now, one of the things you'll do once you have the list is you'll need to make notes about each of the sources that you have. For example, here in where I live, we've got papers like the West Lynn Tidings, the Portland Tribune, the Oregonian, and each of those papers, they've got a website where you can do a letter to the editor. So go to the website, go to where it talks about letter to the editor and find out what their policies are. All of them are going to have some kind of policies like word limits. You can only have 150 words for a letter to the editor. For example, you must provide contact information for yourself so you can verify that you actually wrote it. A lot of them will require a home address, they'll require a phone number, they'll require your name. And a lot of times on the website, you'll submit a letter to the editor on that site itself. And I really encourage people to use these. Letters to the editor to local newspaper are not as fashionable as they used to be. Today, everything is about blogs and social media, and those are great. And we will talk about those a little bit later. But newspapers are great because although a lot of people don't subscribe to newspapers, as much as they used to. The people who still get them are high percentage voters. They vote in very high numbers. So getting published in a newspaper, in a letter to the editor column, is really getting a lot of bang for the buck. It doesn't cost any money, and you're reaching a percentage of the electorate who are very reliable voters. They tend to be homeowners. They tend to be small business owners. They tend to be people with kids in school. These are people who vote in high percentages. So while it's important to do social media and all the other things that we'll discuss, letters to the editor are very, very important. Now, regarding letters to the editor, you're going to basically have very short letters. Some people try to write long, involved letters. Don't do that, because the longer the letter is, the less likely it is going to get published. And you'll want to watch a few other things. When you are looking at the specifications for letters to the editor on the letter to the editor website of the various newspapers, they will have policies in place like you cannot submit a letter more than once a month from the same person, something like that. I'm going to pop on a web browser real quick, and I'm going to look up Beaverton Valley Times. And I'm going to share the screen. And what you'll see here is a website for the Beaverton Valley Times. And so you can log in. There's a menu. A lot of times you have to hunt for it. Letters to the editor, right there in the opinion section. Okay. If you're interested in submitting a letter, click access to our submission forms. Submit a letter. Here it tells you all about it. Describes what they do. Letters should be exclusive to Pamplin Media Group. They don't like it when you send the same exact letter to competing organizations like the Oregonian or the Salem Statesman Journal or any of the others. Letters should be of general interest, no more than 250 words in length. Must include the writer's full name and city of residence. Writers are limited to one letter per calendar month. There is no guarantee that all letters will be printed. And then you'll provide the information that you need here, and you can type your letter here. What a lot of people like to do is type a letter in a word processor like Microsoft Word, so they can polish it. And then when it's the way they want it, they can copy it and paste it into this particular form. Makes it a little easier. And the editor in a word processor is a little more powerful, or a lot more powerful than what they will offer you here. So anyway, that is one example of how to write a letter to the editor. Now, very important, it does, in this case, offer you a 250 word limit, but don't use that. If you use that, unless you have an amazing letter that just dazzles the editors, it is less likely to get published. Make it very short. And what it should have is this. In the first line, get right to the point. So, dear editor, I write this letter in support of John Doe for school board. Bang. That's it. Okay. You tell them in the first line what it is you want the voter to do. Okay. Dear editor, I write this letter to encourage everyone to vote for Mary Doe for school board. Period. Tell them what you want them to do right away. The second thing is to say why you want them to do it. Here, give one sentence, just one sentence that gives one reason why you should vote for Mary Doe for school board. Mary Doe is a longtime resident that understands the needs of our community. Bang, something like that. Mary Doe has 5 kids in the public schools and understands what it is that needs to be done to make them better. Bang. That's it. One sentence, tell them what you want them to do. One sentence, tell them one reason why, and only one reason why. The third line is a repetition of what you want them to do. For this reason, everyone should vote for Mary Doe for school board. Bang. That's it. Then sincerely put your name and whatever other information they require your address, your email address, and then a title, some kind of title. Doesn't matter what it is. If your name is Steve Taylor, okay, if your name is Steve Taylor, you'll sign it Steve Taylor. But who cares about Steve Taylor? Why should we listen to anything Steve Taylor has to say? So put some kind of a title. If you're a precinct captain for the Columbia County Republican Party, put that down. Precinct captain, Columbia County Republican Party. If you are a member of some club, if you are a soccer coach, whatever it is, everyone has some kind of a title. You can put down 10-year resident, Columbia City, whatever it is, some kind of title. A title tells people that you are connected with the community, that you know people, that you are really invested in the community. And that's why they should listen to you, because who you are in this context is not just your name. Who are you that people should care about your opinion, to give some weight to it? So what you've got in your letter, explain the purpose of the letter, get right to the point. Dear editor, I write this letter in support of Mary Doe for school board. One reason why. Mary Doe is a longtime resident of our community who understands the needs of our school district. Period. For this reason, everyone should vote for Mary Doe for school board. Sincerely, Steve Taylor, Columbia City, Oregon, address, phone number, whatever is required, and then some title, 10-year resident of Columbia City or whatever it is. So now if you say that you're a member of a group, let's say that you are a member of your local Elks Club or your local VFW club. It's fine to put member, comma, Elks Club number 1107, okay? But you cannot give the impression that you are speaking on behalf of the club, okay? That's why, one, you put member, comma, and then you put the organization you're a member of. But at the very top, on your first sentence, you begin it by saying, speaking for myself as an individual, comma, I encourage everyone to vote Mary Doe for school board, okay? By putting that at the very beginning, speaking for myself as an individual, then when you have below member, local Elks Club, you are clearly not speaking for the organization. But the reason why you put that down there is to let people know that you are connected with lots of people. You know lots of people. You're a member of the Elks Club. And as a member of the Elks Club, you know a lot of other Elks. And the Elks are active in the community. So it lends credence to your opinion. And since you put at the top, speaking of for myself as an individual, comma, you're off the hook. And if anyone says, oh, you're trying to represent the Elks Club, nope. I just said, speaking for myself as an individual, I'm just a member of the Elks Club. Well, why did you have to put that down? Because I want people to know that I'm active in my community and that I'm engaged with other people. And that's perfectly acceptable to do. I happen to be a member of the commissioner on the Oregon Government Ethics Commission, and we have run into this before. And you always cover your rear when you write down, speaking for myself as an individual, comma, then say whatever you need to say. At the bottom, if you say Commissioner, Oregon Government Ethics Commission, you can do that if you're talking about some issue that isn't before the commission. You can do that. That is how you do a letter to the editor. And I encourage you to do letters to the editor based on that format as often as you can do them according to the policy of the newspaper. Now, the one I just showed you, the Beaverton Valley Times, says they will accept, they'll put it another way, they will print no more than one letter per month from the same person. That's why, if you wish, ask your friends who agree with you if they will submit letters to the editor, and tell them that if they don't have time to write one themselves, then you have others that are ready, that you can write in advance, that they can affix their names to. And if you do that, you can get a lot more in within the scope of a month. Form a team, get 2 or 3 people together and share this contact information and write it up. So just go through the list of the Columbian the Oregonian, the St. Helens newspaper, the Clatskanie paper, and all of those, whatever you think you can get published in. Even papers like Willamette Week that are sometimes distributed out as far as you are. Send them letters to the editor as often as you can. There is still time to do that in the current election cycle. I know, Gideon, that you live in Oregon. The primary is on May 21st. There is still time to do it because a lot of people are holding their ballots to the very end. And they've just passed a law in Oregon a couple of years ago saying that as long as the ballot is postmarked on election day, it will be counted. So people are hanging on to their ballots. They're voting at the end. And so there is still time to reach those people. Now, regarding the newspaper, or excuse me, the radio stations, okay? If you're going to call a talk show, that's great. It's a great way to advertise your point. But I encourage people to use the same format when calling on the radio that they do in writing a letter to the editor to a newspaper. First of all, before I go to radio stations, are there any questions about what we've discussed so far? Do you have any questions, Gideon?
Oh, no questions. Just all very interesting. Really enjoying it.
Is this helpful for you? Is this information useful for you?
Oh yeah, very interesting. The main thing I found interesting was what you talked about. The people that read newspapers are very active, and I hadn't thought of that before, but very interesting.
Yep. Okay, so going on to radio stations, same thing. If you call Lars Larson on KXL radio, you'll blast the whole state. But you might as well do it for your local campaign too if you're trying to help a local candidate. So a lot of them have formats where you can call, like Lars Larson has what he calls First Amendment Friday. During the rest of the week, he's got a series of topics and he's got a series of guests. And he'll take phone calls, but he'll only take phone calls that are relevant to the topics and guests that he's dealing with. But on Friday, he has an open format where you can call about anything. And so you will call and a producer will pick up the phone and the producer will ask who you are and what you want to say. And what you're going to say is you want to talk about Jane Doe for school board and that you want to support Jane Doe for school board. And so you'll be put on hold, and at some point, Lars will pick you up and you say, "Hi, my name is Steve Taylor, and I want to encourage everyone to vote for Mary Doe for school board. She has been a community resident for 10 years. She knows the needs of our district. And for that reason, I ask for everyone to vote for Mary Doe for school board." And then just hang up, okay? If you know that you are taking a position with which Lars Larson is sympathetic, maybe Lars Larson came out in support of Mary Doe for school board on some segment he had about, transgender in the schools or whatever it might be. If he said something that gives you the idea he's on the same side you are, stay on the line. He might want to ask you to elaborate, to talk, a little bit more. But one of the great things about doing a mic drop, just hanging up when you're done with those things, is that if it is a hostile talk show host, they can't really argue with you. And if you get into an argument with a talk show host, you're going to lose because they have this little knob where you can turn down the voice of the person who's on the phone, or you can cut them off after making a glib statement or doing all of those things. You don't want to get caught in that situation. So if you call up, say your thing, say what you want people to do, one quick reason why, reiterate what you want them to do, thank them, and hang up immediately. If you think they're a friendly talk show host, don't hang up immediately, give them a chance to respond, and you can have effectively a good commercial for the person that you're trying to help, or the ballot measure that you're trying to help. So you're going to have to make that call yourself. As you're making these phone calls, make notes on your sheet about whether they're friendly, unfriendly, how it went, what the producer's name is, when they put you on hold, whatever you think might be useful. So that is helpful for calling onto radio shows. Beyond that, we've got social media. I do a lot of work on Facebook because, Instagram is for the younger folks. And I do think that, if you have an Instagram account, use it. A lot of the people that I work with in my community is on Facebook. And they are high percentage voters relative to Instagram users. Younger people are less reliable voters than older people, and some of the older folks are still on Facebook. It's a good place to start. If you have additional time, yes, go to X, go to Instagram, go to Truth Social. They're high percentage voters, even if you don't agree with them. Whatever it is, use the same basic format. Most people will not read long texts. Some folks will, but not very many. Keep it very short. And when you post on social media, make your posts very similar to those that you would do for a letter to the editor to a newspaper. Do it very similar. Now, one trick that I learned on Facebook is this: unless you pay money to boost your reach, you're not going to reach very many people. You'll reach a few, but not very many. One way around that I have found is to subscribe to groups. Subscribe to lots of groups, okay? Like, Oregonians for the metric system, Oregonians for this, schools for this, whatever it is, all these different groups. Find groups that are generally open to whatever you might have to say, open to your ideological bent or what you believe, however many groups you can. And then what you do is you open up each group in a different tab on your browser. So sometimes I have 100 tabs lined up, each with a different group whose membership I want to reach. And so one by one, I go into the group, I make my post, I write it up in a notepad or something, and then I copy it, and then I paste it into the group. Sometimes I'll have a picture and I'll drag it in, and then send. Then go to the next group, paste, picture, send. Next group, paste, picture, send. Because if you send something to a group, everyone in the group will get it. So what you'll have is targeted reach that doesn't cost you anything. And to the extent that X and Instagram lets you do it, go on ahead. But I will tell you that the Facebook crowd is probably a higher proclivity of voter than an Instagram user or an X user. Truth Social, they are high percentage voters. Telegram, high percentage voters. So those are all things you want to do, but always format what it is you have to say very similar to a letter to the editor. The shorter it is, the more likely it's going to be read. And that first line has to be what you want them to do. That first line has to be, how you want them to vote. One nice thing about social media is if you want to, at the end of your short post, you could put a link in there so people could click on something, that gives more information or something that you want them to have. But anyway, it costs a lot of money to put advertisements in local newspapers that are equivalent to what a letter to the editor would be. And letters to the editor are generally read more often than want ads. So there's money there. There's money you don't have to pay. There's value in each letter to the editor you get printed. Obviously, commercials on radio stations can be very expensive. So I remember one time I have a friend who bought one ad on KXL, and it was $850 for one 30-second ad. So if you can get on once a week and get a couple of your friends to get on once a week with First Amendment Friday or whatever the equivalent is for your local radio station, that is real value. Another thing is that unless you're going to pay for money to boost a post in Facebook or some other social media platform, if you use the technique I provided on how to post to individual groups, that's worth money too. There's a lot you can do. Another thing you can do is form a group and issue press releases. You might want to form a group. It doesn't have to be formal. It can be informal. It doesn't have to raise money. It doesn't have to spend money. You could get 5 or 6 of your friends together and you could form an organization, Citizens for Mary Doe for school board, or Oregonians against the metric system, whatever it is you want. And then you put out a press release. And what a press release is just a statement of position, written normally in the form of a newspaper article. And you say whatever you want to say in the press release. If it's a slow news week, you might get printed. You might get a story. All of these things are valuable. And if you do get a story, a feature article, that's like, a couple $1,000s in a local community newspaper that it's worth. So anyway, all of these things you can do to have an individual, personally designed earned media campaign that you can execute from the comfort of your home. You can have your friends get involved, and they can do the same thing from the comfort of their homes. Now, Gideon, were you able to receive those 2 documents I sent you through the chat window?
Yep, I see them.
Okay, very good. So go ahead and download those. And unless you have any other questions, that is my training for the day.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have a question. Like, this is specifically for, like, it sounds like if you're like helping a campaign or something, but I would just like to hear your opinion if you're I can't think of the word, sorry, but if you're the one running, I can't think of the word, but how would you approach it? Yeah, the candidate. That's what exactly.
Okay, if you are a candidate yourself, and we do deal with politics here, Western Liberty Network is, you can use the training for a lot of things. If you're trying to raise awareness for a particular social problem, a practical solution to homeless, for example, or in support of your favorite football team, whatever it is, you can use these same techniques for that. But because Western Liberty Networks, it is a 501c3 that deals with limited government grassroots political activists, we do tend to focus on politics. But getting to your question, if you're a candidate, you can do the same thing. Just put it in the first person. Dear editor, my name is Steve Taylor, and I am a candidate running for the Columbia City School Board. Bang. Okay. I am running because I believe we need to focus. We need to return our school district's focus on academics. For this reason, I urge everyone to vote for me, Steve Tyler, for the Columbia City School Board. Thank you. Sincerely, Richard Burke, candidate, Columbia City School Board, and telephone, whatever information they want to do. So it's the same basic format. If you don't feel comfortable talking about yourself, and if you're a candidate, you really do need to become comfortable talking about yourself. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can have other people who support you do the letters as we've described. Does that answer your question, Gideon?
Yep. It's good. It just it's good that you just gave it a different perspective, because you can use it for a lot of different things. I think I was a little bit pigeonholed for like when you're helping one campaign or something, but it helps when you broaden it to, there's a lot of different things you can support, writing letters to the editors or different things like that.
Sure. Like right now there's a battle on whether or not to change Lowell High School's mascot from Warrior. Okay, you could use this for that. Or if you want to provide water facilities at your local dog park, you could use these techniques for that. It doesn't really matter what it is. This is just generic earned media campaign for whatever cause you want to use. Typically, for the purposes of Western Liberty Network, it's used for political campaigns, but it can be used for anything.
Okay, great.
Okay, is there anything else?
Nothing that comes to mind. Thank you, Lo. Very informative.
Okay, we are looking at doing a training next week, and this will be on things to do in the last days of the campaign. There are some things that can be done in a political campaign on the last few days that haven't been covered, loose ends you can tie up. And if we find that we have people that want us to do a training on it, it will be next week, Saturday at noon, when we will have that, and it will be posted on the Western Liberty Network website. So until then, I want to encourage everyone to get involved. Civic life is not only meaningful, but it can also be fun. There's no reason this can't be fun. And I want to thank you all for taking part. God bless.